Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I thought for today's video we would go through a couple of the color trends for 2022 and how you can kind of incorporate some of those into your home in the most inexpensive way possible, because you guys know I really love home DIYs, anything to do with decor, and I just think it is such a great idea to kind of follow along with trends a little bit loosely so you feel like you're a part of it, but not completely dive head over heels into something that you might later regret and not be able to replace. So I thought I would give you a couple of ideas following on from the colors of 2022 that have been released from Dulux for this year. So that's what we're going to be doing, and I hope this gives you guys some really beautiful and inspiring ideas for how you might bring a little bit of that color into your home. So I thought we would do a little bit more of a sit down kind of video today where I go through a bit of this stuff with you guys, because if you've been around here for a little while you would know that my day job is an architect, so I definitely do interact with a lot of design stuff and a lot of trends and kind of color selections and things in just my sort of day-to-day working life, and I guess I inject a little bit of that into my videos, but I have noticed sometimes in the comments that you guys have said you would like to know more about things, or that some of the stuff that I've talked about has been really helpful. So I thought I would just do a slightly in-depth but still very fun and practical, affordable kind of take on, like I said, just how you can sort of follow some of those color trends. So I thought I would go through on the Dulux website with you, and I'll leave all of the links to that down below if you want to sort of check it out for yourself in more detail later. But Dulux is essentially what I would say the color standard here in Australia. So of course overseas there are tons of other incredible brands who also release like a color of the year, and that is something that sort of I think would probably originally have stemmed from like Pantones, which are these beautiful sort of textures that we would use to do particular drawings. And Pantones also are a giant spectrum of all of the colors. So if you're looking at a Pantone color, it will have its particular RGB and it will also have a really specific name, and that really can kind of help you to start to really select into colors. But when you come to a paint company like Dulux, obviously they've just done their own version of that and given their own names and colors to a bunch of different paints they've created. So for the color trends of the year, they have actually released it in a slightly unique way for 2022, and I actually really like it. So ordinarily these companies will just be like, this is the color of the year, and it's just like one color and that's it, and they sort of show a bunch of different ways in terms of like Pinterest images or swatches of how you could kind of achieve that in your home. So you guys know that I have a very kind of black and white minimalistic home, and that's something that I sort of transitioned out of that sort of boho rattan-y kind of feel and into a more minimalist style. And for me, I think that is the direction that we are going in, because I can kind of see the swing in terms of architecture away from a little bit more showy stuff back to a lot of those beautiful classical buildings. And you can kind of see this in some of the new buildings that are coming out recently, whether it be some residential projects or hotels like the Kayla, I don't know how you say it, but that beautiful, beautiful hotel in Brisbane, and it really has a lot of that kind of terrazzo and stone and heavy sort of feeling to it. So I do think that that shift away from, I guess, the kind of light beachy and airy and into some of the more classical styles is where it's sort of at. It's not to say that anything in your own homes is wrong, because every single person's home is just an expression of their personality, their desires, and the things that you really think are beautiful. So I always say with a trend that you just kind of do it in your own way. Don't feel any pressure from like Instagram or magazines or just friends around you and people kind of impacting you on how you should style your home, because at the end of the day it's your home and it should really just feel like a sanctuary and something that is really cozy and suited to you. But on that note, I would love to take you guys through how Dulux has presented the color of the year. So I've just got my laptop over here next to me because I'm going to be looking at that for a couple of reference notes for it. But essentially the color forecast for 2022, they have broken down into 3 sections, which I think have some really beautiful kind of connotations about it. So we've got flourish, restore, and wonder. And if you scroll down, you get to explore the Dulux color forecast color palettes, and this means basically there might be a couple of colors that have been selected. However, they do sort of give you that broad ranging palette to go with it. So There is Flourish, which says it will introduce a sense of adventure into your home with rich, sensual hues, warm neutrals, and pops of gold. And you guys know that I love a pop of gold. I do have my beautiful gold mirror behind me. I wear a lot of gold jewelry, and I really do think that gold fixtures and things can be incredibly beautiful as well. The next color trend is Restore, so that says create calm and reassuring backdrop with gentle earth-based neutrals and rugged natural tones. And the last one is really kind of crazy looking, and it says Wonder, and this one looks like it brings the fun because it says bring a dreamy and sentimental feel using playful summery 80s inspired colors. The first palette we're diving into is called Flourish, so this initial photo is what they have shown to show off a couple of the colors. So the featured ones are Dulux Dark Door, Deep Leather, and Bongo Drum, and these are really, really rich hues, but I absolutely think these would stand the test of time. I think the gorgeous thing about these extremely bold palettes is they have a real sense of intimacy, they're very rich, they're very fascinating, and they have a real sense of warmth despite the fact that they are a little bit darker and deeper in color. So I always say don't be afraid to kind of either paint a wall and just really go for it in a room, or if you're someone who really likes changing it up, whether that be trans-seasonally or just from year to year, then just do it with your other sort of furnishings and things that are light. So whether that be throw blankets or pillows, maybe even plants, your duvet on your bed, some artwork and things, all of those little items are extremely affordable ways that you could follow a trend and then either sell or upcycle those items and just kind of move along from that particular color. So I really, really love these sort of palettes. I think that it is just gorgeous and something there's a real statement, because a lot of people tend to do a ton of whitewash these days, and even the background that I'm sitting on right now, I have a white door, it has a white door frame, there is a white wall, there are white prints within black frames, and it is all very stark and neutral. So I think that if you're really looking to relax the eye and this is your home and not a rental and you're actually able to paint it, then experimenting with some of these dark hues is really a beautiful way to go about that, because it does really, really relax and draw the eye down. So if you've been in really bright office lighting or store lighting or wherever it is that you happen to work all day long, and then you come home to a very dark and moody space, it instantly just relaxes the eye. It will make you almost feel relaxed yourself, and it's all just to do with the richness of the space and how the light doesn't kind of reflect harshly off it. What I also love about these colors is it's very possible to contrast them with some really fun elements. So whether that be velvet or silk or leather, and even some one-off vintage finds like a really quirky lamp or authentic mirror, and these sort of pieces of decor can really add a unique element of interest to your home, because otherwise you are kind of just sort of following a really, really basic trend or having pieces that are all just store-bought. But I would definitely recommend hitting up some vintage markets. In Melbourne here, there is one called the Glen Waverley Bazaar, and there is also the Chapel Street Bazaar, so I'm sure there are other ones similar to this in all of your hometowns as well. But if not, obviously it's just the op shop sort of vibe, and I have found some seriously beautiful stuff at these places, whether it be vintage mason jars, I found my alcohol cart, I got some photo frames, and I also got a gorgeous mirror, and all of them were honestly very cheap for what they were and really unique pieces that I always get asked about when people come over, and it's great because they're something only I have, because they are vintage and really unique and not something you see every day. The next palette we are looking into is the color forecast called Restore. So this one says it will create a reassuring backdrop that allows you to readjust to constant change, and I think this one is so gorgeous. It is extremely classic yet again, and really seems to go with a lot of that neutral toned furniture in your greys, beiges, and whites, which are pieces similar to clothing that are honestly just never going to go out of style. Like if you were building a staple wardrobe, you could kind of go about the same approach to building some staple decor in your home. There are always going to be pieces that you will save on, and there'll be items that are really worth splurging on. So I would definitely sort of reassess that, and if you ever need help, I would recommend getting getting a designer, or you can always DM me and we can have a little bit of a chat if you're sort of lost on what you're picking or what you're thinking, because it really does pay to do your research and think about those pieces and the longevity they're going to have if you are spending a little bit more and wanting to have them in your home for a while. So the Restore palette really gives me very comfy, cozy vibes, and I think that is such a priority when we're decorating our homes, that we want to surround ourselves with really beautiful pieces that just help us relax and sort of just like similar to in the way I believe that the other palette really makes you feel very grounded in your space. I think this one is a really earthy, neutral way of feeling grounded and quite connected to the natural world. So that is why I also really love indoor plants, because I think plants can contrast in these more neutral spaces. So if you are a renter, then I definitely think it makes sense to stick to that more monochromatic palette, because let's say I move out of this rental next week, I could definitely take all of these things with me because they would suit any kind of space because they are so neutral and flexible. Whereas if I'd really gone to town finding things that only suit this space, which is what I was initially doing to try and match the natural timbers with a more boho feel, then if I move somewhere more modern, it's absolutely going to look so out of place. So I definitely think that is a really great consideration if you are someone who might move around a little bit, that you can still have pieces of furniture that aren't your forever pieces, but they definitely will match a bunch of different environments. So I think having this kind of calming touch and some really beautiful tactile experiences is key. So when I talk about how you would do this if you were an owner, it would be with like different textures of stone or different kind of pieces of timber or really structured linen. Whereas if you are someone who is renting, then I would say that is through layering decor. So you might have some beautiful soft elements, some harder pieces, and just some really beautiful punchy sort of feature pillows and things to throw around as well. Now for the last color trend, we're going all out and we're looking at the Wonder palette, which has been suggested by Dulux. And this one is crazy, zany, and so cotton candy feel good that if you were to decorate like this, your home would just feel so vibrant and energetic. And I really do think it is a beautiful color palette as well. So this one says it is a new celebration and acknowledgement of what joy and inspiration we can discover. So I really think there is an element of play within this palette, and I think that's an excellent thing to incorporate in your home if you're someone who just really doesn't want to stick to the status quo. So it does have a really exciting and awakening kind of feeling, and I think it's a sort of space that would be amazing for someone who is a real entertainer and really likes bringing a bit of joy back into your home and hosting friends, because having that sort of element of so many colors, you cannot be miserable in a space that is just popping with color. So I think this really evokes that sort of memory of those carefree childhood sort of days, and it's a really unexpected combination as well. So if you're a bit more risky with your fashion, and certainly not like me who always dresses in more neutrals, then you would probably absolutely love this Wonder palette. I think that it encourages that exploration, and this sort of reminds me of a colleague of mine who loves clashing prints, and she's just known for always showing up in these iconic colorful outfits, and I could never do it because I just don't think I have the confidence to pull it off, but I absolutely love seeing what she comes up with, and it really just brings a smile to your face seeing someone rock that. So I think this would be the same for anyone who would want this kind of style in your home. You can have all those really playful colors, all those kind of colorful textures like colored glasses. Think of like those real 80s trends where it was like, I don't know, the more really out there colorful candles and things, and really sort of sassy textures and patterns. And you can sort of contrast this with really sleek contemporary furniture to ensure that it doesn't look messy. So I would say having those kind of candy colors can really be paired back against some neutrals if you're wanting to explore but not go too crazy with it. So that's it for my little video on the color trends that Dulux has shared for this year, and I hope this has really helped you guys figure out how you might incorporate some of these colors if that's something you were kind of looking to do to shake up the decor in your home, or if you're really just looking for a little bit of direction and you weren't quite sure where to go, because these resources on their website are essentially ready-made mood boards. So if you are someone who potentially couldn't afford to employ a designer to sort of help you out with that, I would definitely recommend jumping on there and having a look. So I will leave that linked in the description box down below for anyone who wants to kind of take it a little bit further. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.